welcome back to Just Code It. Today we're going to be taking a look at LangGraph and specifically how to run LangGraph agents. To start out, we're just going to do our imports and just run them, get them in there. Let's just clear this because this is going to get kind of hectic in a bit. The first thing we're going to take a look at is creating a few tools that don't really do much at all except for give us something to work with. The two tools we're going to create are get weather and greetings, and let's actually change that to get greetings because that makes more sense. Come down here, add it to the tools. There we have get weather and get greeting. What these do are they're tools that the agent can call, and how the agent knows to call a specific tool is based off of the docstring. The docstring is extremely important when defining tools. Even though this video is not on tooling in LangGraph, that's a specific thing that you should probably know. You define the definition of the tool, what it does, and then the input and output arguments. And these are pretty basic. We're just essentially acting like we're fetching the weather and then giving it some information about how to greet the person if the first message comes off as a greeting or like essentially a greeting message. Now we define those two tools and then we create the agent using create react agent. Then we give it the model. Here we're using Llama 3.2. Now you can do OpenAI or Claude, basically whatever you want there. And next we have the definition of our tools. We're going to pass it a list of tools, which is the get weather and get greeting. Now let's run that. Nothing should be outputted from there though. In step 2 though, we're going to do a very simple invoking from it or running of the agent. And let's see if we can get it to actually use specific tools. It should use the hello. We're using hello, how are you? And hopefully sometimes it doesn't do it for this one. It should invoke the greeting, but we'll see. If you have any experience with LangChain, this will be extremely familiar. We're going to do agent.invoke. LangChain is a chain.invoke, pretty similar. And then we're just going to print the response. It's running, and there we have it. We have our human message, which is our hello, how are you? And then we just have the agent, and the agent's, oh, it actually called the tool. We have the agent calling the tool, which is responding with the greeting. And then finally, we have our final response from our agent. So this is our agent making the decision to call that tool, calls the tool. The tool gives it the response, and then the agent's giving our final response right there. Now, let's just test out to see if it's also able to do the weather. Here's the other. This is another one where we're doing what is the weather in San Francisco. Run it. It should now call the weather tool, and it looks like it didn't. Let's just run that again. Sometimes it, yeah, I mean, you never are 100% certain with these smaller models, but here it didn't call the tool the first time, just rerunning it again. Now it called the tool. With bigger models, it'll do better at this, but what it's doing here is it's getting the weather, basically making an API call or a fake API call, and then giving us our final response after calling that tool. The next thing we're going to take a look at is essentially these different input formats. We have 3 different input formats. We have the string, hello, dictionary, which is the role, user, content. We put inside the messages, we're giving it a full message. And then we can also give it multiple messages. Here we can do list of messages where we're giving it the content of hey, and then we're also giving it another user input, which is what is the weather in San Francisco. Just for brevity's sake, we're just going to loop over this and essentially print the responses, and it will print them all pretty fast. Let's actually zoom in, make it a little bit easier for you all to view this. Okay, we have on the first one, we are passing it. The first one is just that string. Oh, we're not on the first one. That is the list. That is the dictionary. Up here, we have the string. We have the message, human, hello, how are you? And it should call the hello tool. Yep, it called the hello tool and giving us, this is essentially the exact same as up here. Now, moving down a little bit, we got the dictionary. We're passing it a full user message. Here we have it. We have messages, human message. We have that human message that we created and passed to it. Hi there. It should also call the greetings tool. It does, very similar to the previous response. The last one we have is this list of messages. As you can see with the response, we have 2 human messages passed to the LLM. And ideally we would have it call multiple tools, but we don't have a graph here. So it's only going to call a single tool, and it's going to essentially pick between which one it thinks is more important. And I believe because this one's the most recent message, it's probably going to say, okay, the high's already, it's farther back in history. We're going to actually just respond to this weather in San Francisco or SF. It does that, and we grab it, invoking that tool, getting the weather, and then the content. Another way of invoking is to stream the outputs. Like when you're chatting with ChatGPT, it's streaming tokens back to you. It comes back in chunks. We're going to take a look on how to do that in LangGraph. Let's make that a little bit wider. To be honest, I don't think we need this side one. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, here we have our streaming input, which is just a message, and we're going to say, what is the weather in San Francisco? We're sticking with a theme here, I guess. And what we're doing for it is first, we're going to look at stream, and there's different types of streams. We can stream by different types of modes. Streaming mode right here, we have update, message, and custom. Update, it essentially streams back every step that the agent's taking. Let's just take a look at that one first. Stream, and it's going to come back with every step and return that back to the user. You could say, okay, here we started, the agent has messages, and this is the first AI message. It's essentially going to be asking, okay, I'm going to go grab this tool. If you had a user interface here, this would get returned, and you could then respond to the user. It's going to grab the get weather tool, give the user a little feedback, and then we're going to grab the weather tool. And then you could also give the user, this is what the weather tool returned, it's raw data. And then finally, this is the AI response. That's how these different modes can be used. Let's clear that and run this again. Next up is streaming individual tokens. This stream messages. What stream messages does is it actually just streams the final response. It would only stream back these tokens as they're created. It won't stream any of the tool or the agent interactions, just what the agent is responding to you as an LLM. We run this, and it's just going to be a long list of what the agent responded, its final message, essentially. And that's just the only reason it's a list is because I put this print in here and it's printing a line. It's not the end of the world. You just have to kind of format that text. Finally, we have the custom, which essentially is only going to stream back the tool's response. Let's run it. And all we get is fetching the tool. The last thing we're going to take a look at is this. It's pretty important, actually, because you can get into forever loops kind of easily in LangGraph or when you're using agents in general. It's kind of important to have a way to break out of those forever loops. If your agent just keeps on calling a tool and you don't have a way to get out, you can essentially never get a response. How you do this in LangGraph is you use this recursion limit. When you're defining that agent, we're going to define the agent, and then we're going to give it our recursion limit. After that, you give it this recursion limit, which is essentially how many steps it can take. I'll demonstrate this in a second. This one will actually not be able to run our current agent because it's taking more than one step. But how you add this to your agent is you do agent with config. Essentially, this is updating our agent. We're not making a completely new one. It's still going to have the tools, and it's going to be set to 1 right now. To demonstrate this, we're just going to do a try catch or accept, and we're going to accept for this recursion limit error. And again, we're just going to do agent with limit and invoke off of it to essentially try to get it to run. Let's just run it with a single recursion limit. You'll see it breaks pretty quick. It doesn't really run anything. Essentially, all it's giving it is this human message. Now, if we up this to 3, you'll see it gets a few steps into it. Here we have message, human message, and then we have our AI message. To get our full tool to run, we actually have to up this to 5. And now this will call a single tool. And now we have our full agent being able to run. It took 5 to do that. That's something to keep in mind when you're creating these larger ones. You can actually run through recursion pretty quick. There's some common formulas you can use to essentially calculate recursion on the fly. And it has a lot to do with how many tools you have and the graph structure you have, like how many nodes in your graph. I forget the common tool. We'll probably learn it later on when we start adding graphs to this. But here it's essentially how many invokes it can do is 1 minus the recursion limit, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you get your response. That is it for LangGraph agents and how to run them. If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.